Ah, hello my fine friends, and welcome to my humble tavern where we can discuss the finer points of delight and depravity in RPGs. I am the Eldritch Bartender, and I'll be your storyteller for a while. So rest those weary bones and get yourself settled in. It's time for another installment of RPG horror stories. Now, if you've read or listened to a lot of these RPG horror stories, you'll start to notice a lot of common threads. And while there are too many to go over here, one of the most common ones you'll see is non-confrontational players or a non-confrontational DM. Basically, the rest of the table not wanting to start a fight over this. This can be a very quick way to end a game and just completely kill whatever traction the campaign had going, and possibly fuck up the group more than a little bit. Which is unfortunate because it's, as mentioned, it's also one of the most common things you'll see in these stories. And our first tale of today is no different. Let it roll. Our story for today is That Guy's Rage and the Non-Confrontational Table, RPG horror story, content warning, uncomfortable stuff including some casual transphobia. Yikes. So I had to drop out of my friend's game for a month after experiencing a traumatic event, including being admitted to a hospital, which they were all aware of. I had also recently come out as transgender, which may be a factor in this. Just aside, congratulations. Um, stupid little aside, I am so sorry. In the campaign, whilst I was together with the group, we had finished a dungeon that was the initial intro to the campaign and had been tasked with finding our way to a settlement. The campaign theme being building a settlement on a new frontier and facing the challenges it brings. The DM and I came up with an in-game explanation for my absence, that on the way to the settlement I scurried off to gather food when my character, a tabaxi monk, had been kidnapped by a tribe of frog people, before eventually befriending them, hunting with them, and freely finding her way back. There were 4 other players there. One was very reserved and innocent and barely spoke. Shy guy. One was nice and played a goblin, G. One had that guy energy, and the other was a tech geek with cynical energy. There was also some white jokes about traps in clear reference to the slur, which regrettably I pretended to be okay with. I myself had made those jokes in the past before coming out as transgender. I was the only trans person in the group. Towards the beginning of the session, the DM described me showing up to the settlement when that guy, in character, put me on the spot, angrily asking where my character had been and refused them entry to the settlement. I thought maybe this was a quick joke, but no. D&D is a game about getting along and having fun. In real life, I couldn't be there because of extreme circumstances. In-game, that guy was berating my character, asking them where they'd been, and refusing entry to the settlement, and preventing us all from continuing to play the session. For some reason, he was also clearly angry out of character as well. I had recently been through some experiences with abusive people and was legitimately scared to directly confront it and call out that that guy was being incredibly rude. The atmosphere at the table was so awkward. No one else was saying anything, they weren't sticking up for me, but they were very clearly uncomfortable with this as well. My character tried to explain that they had been kidnapped and made the way back as soon as they were able. That guy then began to accuse my character of not sharing the loot from the dungeon that we had did last time we were all together. He began to insist that I hand over everything I had from the dungeon and then downsized it to just one big coin that I had found. The thing is, my character literally had gotten the smallest pool of loot from the dungeon and it had already been fairly divided months ago, in game time and real time. It was clearly heavy-handed behaviour that was driven by some real-life anger, not some in-game thing. I kept trying to gracefully move on, and that guy would seriously not have it. That guy then asked genuinely out of character if I thought I was right, with some kind of bratty Anakin Skywalker energy. That guy pointed out that when we were in the dungeon, I had tried to pickpocket him for an item. I indeed did, but it was part of fun party interactions and was not a serious slight against him in any way. He was clearly angry for some reason, and now finding reasons to justify it. The DM was being very awkward at this point and not really looking at him. I looked to the DM for help and he turned to me saying, "Remember everyone, the goal of this game is to get along." As if he was afraid to directly address that guy. The whole time I was genuinely trying my hardest to just move on with the situation, make it as non-awkward as possible without directly addressing the weird behaviour. I wish I had called it out or just got up and left. I tried to play it off by having my tabaxi growl and wrestle with him, hoping to create a normal story moment within a band of heroes where they might tussle sometimes over disagreements. It was an earnest, friendly attempt to play off the situation and give that guy an out. I had full non-lethal intent, and that guy began trying to deal damage to me and had to be talked down by the party and DM. That guy then asked self-righteously, "How do you think I'm taking this situation?" So I said, "Very poorly." And finally, the nice goblin guy agreed and backed me up. The cynical geek guy, however, said we were both being immature and that I should compromise by handing over some of my loot. I was put into a situation where I would have to degrade my dignity to continue the session. I would have to act submissive to a domineering and angry presence in order to just continue the game. Very quick aside here, fuck you, geek. Moving on. My character had just been kidnapped, escaped, managed to rejoin the party, and was now being threatened by them. The session couldn't move on unless I acquiesced because everyone was too awkward to say anything. I repeatedly tried to put the matter aside as gracefully as possible without directly calling out that guy out of character. I think that guy really clearly would not concede unless I acted submissive to him without any real good reason for it. This was compounded by, in real life, literally having escaped an abusive ex recently being a major part of the reason that I was away. I was incredibly uncomfortable at the table, and I was sincerely afraid of this angry childish dude. Eventually, with the DM intervening, my character was able to enter the settlement without handing over the loot. I believe my memory of this is foggy. No one talked about it after, but everyone decided to end the session early, unspoken but clearly because of these events, and it had left everyone uncomfortable. I contacted the DM afterwards and they apologised, saying they were embarrassed they let it happen at the table and that guy's behaviour was definitely heavy-handed. That guy remained in the campaign and I left. That guy sent me a message saying they hoped I'd stay in the campaign and have fun, but they were very clearly avoiding the issue and not apologising. It felt like veiled joy and pretending the issue didn't exist. Unfortunately, I just replied with niceness in return and didn't confront them. I pretended right along with them. In context, I had just experienced serious abuse in real life and was afraid. Now, I directly call it out, but anyway, as a friend and a player trying to have fun, I no longer felt safe at that table. We're young, immature nerds. I can see how it happened, I understand the awkwardness, but it seemed clear I'd have to deal with more of that guy's behaviour in the future. It had never been that bad before, but there was red flags in the past campaigns. I suspect transphobia played an element in this as well, due to other things. This event really messed with me all in all, made me doubt myself and my friends a lot. I've found far better friends since, and it's been cathartic to write about. Thanks for reading. No, OP, thank you for sharing your story, and I am very sorry for what happened to you. As they said themselves, there is a chance that the transphobia aspect played some part in this, but I'm not really experienced enough with that kind of stuff to make a decision on that or not. What I can definitely make a decision on is, Jesus Christ, this guy is an asshole. This person had to be away because of real life, very serious issues happening at the time, and there was an in-character reason made up for it. Then, when that person is actually finally able to come back, this son of a bitch decides that he is going to get angry out of fucking character with them and justify it with in-character bullcrap. But the thing I want to talk about further is not that guy's bullshit, it's how the others at the table handled this. The DM especially. I know that they said they were embarrassed afterwards and they were ashamed they let it happen, but fucking hell. You are the DM. You are the person who is meant to make sure everyone at the table is feeling fucking safe and is having at least some measure of fun in your game. I get that some people are non-confrontational and they don't like getting in fights, whether it be for anxiety or a completely unrelated reason. I get that. Some people don't like conflict. I don't like it very much myself, in fact. But you're the DM. You're supposed to fucking put a stop to this shit when it happens. And instead of trying to help compromise or anything, it seems like the DM just sat there silently and let this happen, just unabated. And I'm sorry, but that is just fucking spineless. I'm sorry for being so harsh, but this really just runs me up a wall. And I don't know if it entailed it specifically in the story that if the others knew what had happened to OP with the abuse, but they at least knew that they had to be in the hospital and that they had experienced something fucked up recently. That really should have been all the warnings this guy needed to not pull something like this, and all the incentive the others needed to actually fucking say something when this happened. I'm sorry if I got so fucking heated over this, but this stuff really just pisses me off. Well, anyway, OP, I'm sorry this happened to you. Congratulations on escaping from a shitty situation, shitty friends, and finding a new group you like. And that'll be the end of this. And that will be all from me today, folks. Thank you for listening. I apologize for a bit of a shorter video today, but I didn't really have a whole lot of time, and I wanted to get something out today to at least maintain some kind of schedule, as erratic as it may be. And with all that said and done, I'll be closing the bar off for tonight, folks. That'll be all from me. If you enjoyed this, maybe throw down a like and subscribe if that's what you want to do. I would appreciate that, but I also do just appreciate you even giving this a watch. So thank you. And so, I've been the Eldritch Bartender. I hope you've enjoyed, and good night.